this a time for sanguinity and reason and reflection? Is this a time for unity? Is this a time for us to recognize that the system itself is broken and we should find new ways to unite against corruption and centralized power, whether it's global and militaristic, seeking ever more territories, trying to control resources, funneling them endlessly into the hands of your Bill Gateses and your George Soroses? Or is this a time for American people to be continually calling one another Nazis and actually eroding the kind of public faith that's required unless you're going to see mass secession all across your nation? Let's have a look at it. This is the sort of controversial thing. You can see the word Reich there in a video that was made by a Trump supporter and ultimately reposted by the Trump campaign on Truth Social. But I don't know who spotted the word Reich there, faded and distant, barely visible. That's had to pause so fast. Like when you're watching Jamie Lee Curtis in Trading Places as a teenager. There's Jamie Lee Curtis's boobs. Or if you're watching, like when I was a kid, Basic Instinct. There! Pause! Like, look at that. That's evidence of a Reich. I tell ya, it's a Reich. So let's have a look at how CNN have reacted to the mention of the word Reich.
Donald Trump's Truth Social account posted a video discussing what would happen if he was reelected.
Micah, you can already tell, is using the sort of concerned tone of like, okay, now listen, this is pretty serious. Something bad has happened.
With the newspaper headline referring to a unified Reich, which is a word, of course, associated with Hitler's Third Reich during Nazi Germany. Here's the video. The phrase unified Reich shows up very quickly as part of hypothetical news headlines that announces Trump's hypothetical 2024 win.
I keep missing it when they're actually trying to do it. I will say, though, the person that put the word Reich in a Trump video is playing into the hands of the haters. I mean, there can't be a plan. Like, let's break this down. What was wrong with the Third Reich? It was the genocide of the Jewish people, the extermination of the gypsy folk, the mentally ill, the disabled, the eugenics experiments, and the military expansionism into the East that dragged the entire world into war. But we hadn't already had 4 years of an Adolf Hitler administration. What we'd had, in fact, is the subtle manipulation of the existing political system within Germany to ensure that the conditions existed in order to legitimize centralized authority. Hitler making himself first chancellor, then Führer of that nation through a set of manipulative relationships and false flag events, not least of all the burning down of the Reichstag. So you could argue, in fact, that the amplification of fear in the exact same way that Hitler amplified the threat of the communists is closer to Hitlerian, if I can coin such a term, than what Trump is doing or has ever done. In short, the kind of neoliberal, bureaucratic, censorial, surveillance-driven, actual participation in global conflicts through the supply of weapons that many people believe are teetering on the precipice of being pretty exterminatory, if I can use that term, and certainly in their facilitation and support of corporatism, they are abiding by Mussolini's definition of the word fascist, i.e. the commingling of corporations and the state to create one body, one entity that is opposed to the people. So who is it that's really more Nazi and fascistic? Is it Donald Trump, who didn't really even officially make that video? Just someone within the Trump campaign reposted it because they weren't scrutinizing it. Like, wait for Basic Instinct, Sharon Stone, she's about to cross her legs. Pause. My joke, like Lindsey Graham waiting for another war. Oh, God. Oh, we better bomb Iran. I even noticed that when he was in that Senate hearing, he had tissues by him. He had Kleenex right by him. Lindsey Graham is aroused by war.
But if you look underneath the What's Next for America headline, the smaller headline reads, industrial strength significantly increased, driven by a creation of a unified Reich.
I mean, don't use the word Reich. Reich is a bad word. The Nazis were bad. That was a bad, bad time for all humanity. What's also bad, though, are the current wars that are being funded by American taxpayers, either by proxy or by facilitation, by supply of weaponry, when America's moral and military might isn't being deployed to bring about diplomacy and peaceful solutions, but is instead being deployed to perpetuate wars and facilitate vast profits for the military-industrial complex. That is a problem. That's like, you don't have to sort of press pause like you're looking for Jamie Lee Curtis in Trading Power. There, she's got a top off. This is actually brazen war crimes, as Lindsey Graham himself said. You can't have the International Criminal Court arresting the participants in the conflict between Israel and Hamas, because otherwise you'd have to arrest Joe Biden, Barack Obama, Tony Blair, George W. Bush, and all of the participants in various military endeavors around the world. This would be a useful thing for MSNBC to commentate on, but they won't commentate on it, will they?
Trump's campaign spokesperson responded to the backlash, saying that the language was not used intentionally, writing in part, "This was not a campaign video. It was created by a random account online and reposted by a staffer who clearly did not see the word while the president was in court." But the Biden-Harris campaign isn't buying it and blasted that explanation, saying Donald Trump is not playing games. He is telling America exactly what he intends to do if he regains power.
If that was an opponent, they'd be saying it was a conspiracy theory, wouldn't they? To sort of find a watermark-like cell in a campaign video that was made by a random online user rather than an official member of the campaign team. You can't have it both ways. You can't, when Trump jokingly said, "I'll make myself dictator for a day," we all saw that and recognised, oh, that's a joke. Or when he used the term bloodbath and it was clear he was referring to trade tariffs with China, claim that he meant this is a literal bloodbath. We've seen what the game is, and because there are no moral, ethical, or principled roots to that political movement, to the political establishment, the neoliberal political establishment, they have to deploy hysteria and hyperbole because there are no ethics or morality there. They do not care about individual sovereignty and freedom. They certainly don't care about unity. They don't care about localization. They don't even care about the things they claim to care about, like diversity and the environment. Important issues. Debt can bring sleepless nights. Insanely high interest credit card loans and repayments are very difficult to make, almost impossible. There is a way out, though. There is a way to be free from the debt trap. You've heard me talk about this trap. Now here's a solution. The organization that used to be known as Pivotal Debt Solutions are now known as Zero Debt USA, and they have an aggressive, new strategy to end debt faster. Zero Debt USA cut or eliminate interest. They help you owe less and get rid of all of the letters, threatening phone calls, all that stuff. They find solutions to end your debt permanently. Talk to Zero Debt USA for free to find out how fast they can help you get out of debt and into some sensible financial management. Visit zapmydebt.com. That's zapmydebt.com. Zapmydebt.com. Thank you. And another odd cultural entity, this time The View, participated too in this conversation, not in order to bring about more peace, but also to amplify. I think what gets said on The View here, let me know if you agree in the chat, what gets said in The View is actually more contentious and perhaps more harmful than the word Reich, which again is not a good word. We're not in the business of Reichs. Reichs ain't what it's about. Let's have a look at how The View cover this story. And do you think that this is a healing way to cover this story or potentially an incendiary way? Let me know in the chat, you lot.
By the way, out there, that hat that you keep wearing, that red hat that says "Make America Great Again," that tells people that you go along with this. So you might as well just put a swastika on the hat.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Because we see it anyway.
I think it's more contentious to say that a MAGA hat may as well have a swastika on it than it is for a non-sanctioned member, just a random, to use their description, participator and meme maker, to use the word Reich, which is inappropriate and foolish. But The View is a mainstream cultural artifact, and for them to use the phrase, "You might as well put a swastika on your MAGA hat, we all see it anyway," I don't know, does that bring people together? Is that in the service of America? It seems to me that that is potentially a more difficult take, a more conflagratory take, if I may say. In addition to the incendiary language, well, I mean, the word Reich, it's a difficult word. Reich is not a word that should be bandied about. But is it true that lethal force was going to be used during the Mar-a-Lago raid? Certainly that's a claim that's being made in some media. What do you think about that? And is it correct to refer to that as an assassination attempt? Or do you think that's a further amplification of a conflict that's clearly present in American culture? What do you think? Do you think that the Mar-a-Lago raid could have become an assassination attempt or not? Let's have a little look at that.
The FBI authorized the use of deadly force during the Mar-a-Lago raid. This according to documents filed by Trump's legal team. Agents in unmarked polo shirts planned to bring standard issue weapons, ammo, handcuffs, medium and large size bolt cutters, and even lock-picking equipment as they prepared to go door to door at Mar-a-Lago. And they did, ransacking Melania Trump's bedroom along with Barron Trump's bedroom. The FBI also took extensive photographs of Melania and Barron's rooms for no apparent reason. Think about this for a second. Joe Biden sent men with guns to his political opponent's house and turned their bedrooms upside down. That's never happened in the history of the United States.
What America needs now is healing. What America needs is open debate, transparency, clarity, and if you ask me, and by virtue of watching this you are, decentralization of power, localized power wherever possible, for the state wherever it can to oppose globalist and corporatist power rather than support it and facilitate it, and for all of us, regardless of our religious beliefs or lack of religious beliefs or cultural or racial identity, to recognize that if we are unable to come together, we're never going to change the world. And people saying you're wearing a swastika on your hat are, in my view, the real hate criminals. But that's just what I think. Why don't you let me know what you think in the comments and chat? Hey, thanks for watching. If you want to see more uncensored content where free speech can flourish, join our live stream. Click the link right here to watch the next video if you want to, or become a member of a growing movement. Download the Rumble app and you'll be informed every time we make a new piece of content. Stay free.